Welcome back to Strong Inside and Out, the show where we treat education like medicine and leave you with something you can actually use. I'm Dr. Ashley Katzenback, and I'm so glad you're here. Summer tournament season is almost here. Your athlete trained all year for this. Don't let a cooler packed with the wrong stuff be what takes them out. Today we're doing something a little different. This is a cooking show episode. Practical, visual, so to speak, usable. We're packing a cooler on air. I'm so excited to introduce Stephanie Tarbell, sports nutritionist and owner of Steel Anchor Nutrition, a local expert who works with athletes and families on exactly this. By the end, you'll have a grocery list, a packing strategy, and a game day nutrition plan you can actually execute from a parking lot sideline. A quick reminder before we dive in. Everything we share here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for working with your own healthcare provider. We want you informed and empowered, not self-diagnosing at midnight. Depending on where you are listening to this from, summer is either right around the corner, or if you're like my kids, you are in school until the end of June. Either way, summer tournament season starts in mid-June for most sports. I have the unique point of view of being a mom of teenage athletes, a lacrosse coach, and a physical therapist. So it's possible I see things slightly different than the average bear. But just like all the other parents that are listening, in the eyes of my kids, I know absolutely nothing about anything. So hopefully Stephanie can teach me something that I can bring home and see if it meets their approval. I know I am not alone on this. So on our checklist of things we are hopefully going to learn about: hydration, food, timing of it, recovery, and those foolish energy drinks we see everywhere. First up, hydration. Why tournament day hydration is different. We have multiple games, likely really hot, long days, potentially some emotional stress, unpredictable timing, depending on your tournament director. It's not a regular practice day. So your hydration is more than just about performance. It's about injury prevention. Muscles are made up of 70% water. Fatigued, dehydrated muscles don't move well. That's when an ACL tears, or an ankle rolls, or overuse injuries happen. So I've talked long enough. Stephanie, please help us out and teach us what our athletes need to do to be hydrated for tournaments.
Absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me. I could talk about this stuff all day. So my first piece of advice with any of this stuff that we're going to talk about is don't overthink it. So getting something is always better than getting nothing. And I also want to keep in the back of your mind that all of my suggestions and recommendations are not the law, so you can make different choices. But I also have in mind our parents and our biggest fans that are with these athletes. They can do the same exact thing, so tournament season feels much more comfortable for them also. So when we talk about hydration with athletes, regardless of age, you want to make sure that you're almost drinking ahead. So the day before is where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck as far as hydration. If we wait until we're behind, that's when we see a dip in energy, focus, and coordination. So we want to make sure that our athletes who have been working so hard head onto the field, the rink, the track, whatever it is that they're doing, feeling their best. Hydration, we're going to start the day before, so not just in the morning when you wake up. Ideally, what I recommend is that the morning of the game, you are going to drink water with breakfast, so a nice big full glass of water. The couple hours leading up to the game, we're going to have a steady intake, so not chugging, not forcing anything, but just kind of casually drinking. And then during the game, we're looking for little sips. So while they're coming in for timeouts or whatever it is, we want to make sure that they're taking sips of water. After the game ends is crucial for hydration. We want them drinking water, especially if it's a weekend tournament where they have to be up the next day. That late afternoon or post-game drinking leading to the next day is where we're going to kind of prime them up for the next day. So day before is your best bet, but through the day, we don't want them to save all of their water for post-game where they're just kind of chugging water and kind of trying to play catch up.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. What about cramping? Like oftentimes I hear either the athletes that I'm coaching or my own kids, they say, I can't drink water during the game because it gives me a cramp. Is that common? Is that because they were dehydrated to begin with? I mean, what's the reason for that?
So typically when they have kind of that like side water cramp, it's just from chugging too much at one time. So if that's kind of why we want to space it out just a little bit. With all of these tips that I have, one of the things we have to keep in mind is that there's nerves with sports for some kids. Some kids don't show it. Some kids will tell you. So there's a lot of adrenaline. There's a lot of nervousness with this. So some of their behavior or choices is very much reflected in that, but we don't always pick it up. So if we don't remind them like, hey, just have some water, or here's, I put a water in the cup holder for you just to have on our drive there, or just little things to kind of take the thought out of it, it makes it feel more like their idea, less of being told what to do. But typically those cramps we'll see with just kind of low energy. So they just might need a little something, but also chugging that water. Okay. You want to chug and then sprint.
Okay. That makes sense. And I have a feeling in a lot of these cases it is the nerves. What about salt, electrolytes? I mean, I have been lately obsessed with the elements, but that may be just because it helps me drink more water. I obviously probably don't need those electrolytes. I just really like them. How do we handle that for our kids? Do they need them? Should they be drinking them? Should we be putting them in their water bottles?
That is a really good question. So electrolytes, the market has taken off.
Right.
And we'll also talk about that with energy drinks. But electrolytes have their place and have their time. The one thing we don't want to forget is that little athletes have kidneys that help them do all of this, right? So we don't need to do a huge job when their kidneys kind of filter this stuff and know what to do. So over electrolyting your water is just expensive pee, right? So like if you just put a ton of electrolytes in water, they just have really expensive pee. On the other hand, like you mentioned, if you have someone who's a little bit tough to get to drink water, putting something flavored in it typically helps. The thing with electrolytes are that it's very like social. So like my friend or my teammate did it. It can be perceived as like, well, she's so good or he's so good. What do you do before the game? I drink electrolytes. Like there's a lot that kind of goes into it. So simply put, when we sweat out sodium, right? So my baseline recommendation, so we don't have to overthink like grams or servings or anything like that, is if it is a blazing hot day and your little athlete is out there playing 4 baseball games a day and it's hot and they're very sweaty, probably a good candidate for electrolytes, but they don't have to drink electrolytes all day. We don't have to go nuts with it, but maybe like 1 pack in their water will help, or 2 packs maybe even. So like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, that might even be overdoing it. But if we have an athlete who it's a 72-degree day, there's a nice breeze, maybe it's a baseball pitcher that isn't pitching today, or they probably are fine without electrolytes. So the kind of group that gets a little bit looked past, in my opinion, are hockey players, because they are in lots of gear and they work. I mean, all athletes work really hard, but they work so hard. But just because they're in a cool environment, sometimes I feel like they get a little bit forgotten about. So sorry, guys. So a hockey player playing a lot in a long tournament is a better candidate for a packet of electrolytes on game day versus a lot of other sports. But like lacrosse, they wear some kind of equipment over them. I'm not against them by any means. I think that there's huge benefits. Ideally, what we're going to do is make sure that through them being fueled with food is that they're getting those electrolytes. As far as hydration goes, if it keeps them drinking water, 1 serving is not going to hurt them by any means. They might just pee it out.
Got it. Okay. So it's not like you could potentially overdo it. If you had too many, you would just pee it out, or is there such a thing as overdoing it?
So we have to be careful with electrolytes because they're very easily given. The same thing with like supplements and vitamins and things like that. In a healthy body, more than likely, they're just going to pee it out. But if you're drinking a packet of electrolytes with every single 8-ounce glass of water, like there are risks associated with just kind of freely taking things. And I say that across the board with any sort of supplementation. There's a place for supplementation. Little bodies that function really well are really good at making sure that they function really well. Like as silly as that sounds.
No, it's great.
But one of the factors that we want to kind of keep in mind is that electrolytes are available. They're not necessarily a must. They're not a bad thing, but it's not something that you just have to keep throwing at your kid to make sure that they hit home runs. Like we're not going to see performance in that way. You're just going to see like expensive pee.
I love how you make everything so simple.
We're going simple here.
I love it.
We're going simple here. Now, when we look at, sports in general, so like I'm a competitive athlete and I'm like an old lady, but sports in general, there's so much thinking that goes on. So getting ready for a tournament is not just like, oh my God, I have all of this brain power. How am I going to make sure we're ready to go? It is, oh God, it's tournament weekend. We need to get ourselves together. So all of my recommendations are going to be very, very simple because simple is sustainable, right? And your kid is going to give really, really good feedback to things that don't feel stressful. The minute you start stressing out an athlete, that's when things start to fall apart. We're going to see pushback because they have their own little thing going on in their head, right? Like they have their own routine. They're also little social beings, so they're doing what their friends are doing. They're listening to what the coach says. The last thing they want to hear is some complicated spiel about, you should do this and you have to do that and, do all of these things. Not saying they run the show, but the simpler that we can kind of make it as their parents or their guardians or their biggest fans, the less pushback they'll typically give us.
Oh my gosh, this is a great life lesson or great parenting lesson right now for me as well, because I can just picture myself like chasing my kids around the field, chasing them with a water bottle. Drink this, drink this.
Yeah.
So this is very helpful for me as a parent.
We want them to stay nice and hydrated, but we're a society of abundance. So sometimes that abundance can start to feel a little bit overwhelming when we're just trying to do our best. Everything is just so easy to get and marketing just convinces you need everything. There's a lot of really great products out there. There's a lot of athletes that do benefit from electrolytes. Not against it at all, but like if today, like we probably wouldn't need electrolytes if we were playing a 1 hour game.
I think we've covered hydration. Well,
I
for
think
now.
So. Yeah.
Let's talk about food. Let's talk about fuel. Let's talk about what helps our body run.
Okay. This is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So my biggest piece of advice is don't complicate it. Do not complicate it. On game day, we're just looking to fuel our athlete. That's what we're doing, so it doesn't turn out miserable. From your perspective, as obviously as well as mine, but your perspective is like, how do we reduce risk of injury? And fueling and hydration is a huge part of that. We want them to feel good. We want them to have fun. We want them to do their thing, and everything feels simple around them, right? So almost like a little professional athlete. They have like their chef and they have their driver and they have, so that's kind of what we're doing here, but in a much less royal way, if I can say it like that. So there's a fine line that can feel overwhelming for parents when it comes to fueling an athlete. So our first thought is, how do we get as much nutrient density in them so they can perform really well? I'm totally here for that. We want them to eat nutrient-dense foods. On the other side of it, there are foods that do the trick that we need them to do on game day for little athletes. And this, I say little, this is up to college level athletes. I mean, for all athletes. So big, huge thing is going to be carbohydrates. Fats we're going to see much less of until after we're done playing for the day. So fats kind of have a back seat on sports day or on game day, tournament weekend. Carbohydrates are going to be the winning ticket. Like they are going to give us the biggest bang for our buck. My advice to parents are, don't let this overwhelm you if you feel like this is new to you. Adding carbohydrates, not a big deal. Don't let it overwhelm you. The first thing is choose things that they're going to like. So I'll give examples. If they don't like that, don't pack a cooler with that stuff in it, or else you're going to just have a cooler packed for someone who's not going to eat it.
I've definitely done that. Brought home a full cooler of food. None of it was eaten.
So pack things that they like. Like I said, the examples that I give are just kind of things that I've used. They either love them, they hate them. There's a million options in the grocery store. It'll just kind of give you an idea. The next thing is also those nervous bellies. So abundance isn't necessarily our huge focus. There are certain meals throughout game day that are going to be bigger and more supportive, and then there's going to be the rest of them are going to be smaller things. So if they're eating something, that's better than nothing. But we don't need to expect athletes to sit down and eat a huge Chipotle bowl between every game. We're not there. We're also absolutely not in the time or space to be measuring, to be like calorie counting. Like that has no place in game day. Very, very little place in youth or kids in general. So carbs provide us quick, usable energy. And without enough carbs, we see these drops in performance. We see drops in energy. Our athlete just kind of feels meh. Like they just have a game where they're just like meh, where on the sideline, you're like, what is, kind of what is going on? Typically underfueled or dehydrated or underhydrated is where we first would look. they've been practicing, they have a coach, they have a team. So all of those things they've been working on. For us, it's how do we keep them fueled to perform well? So the next thing you'll notice is a couple days or the next day after game day or tournament day, they're sore, they're still a little bit meh, moving a little bit slowly. That tells us that they probably would benefit from more carbohydrates that day as well. So recovery can be tough, performance tough, energy can drop if we don't have enough carbohydrates.
Let me just recap a couple things there, because that was a lot of information there.
Yeah.
So on game day, if your athlete is looking meh, I like that word, they're either potentially underhydrated or underfueled. And then if they're having more muscle soreness than usual in the days following, that was a good sign that they were also dehydrated or underfueled in the game.
Yeah. So carbohydrates, what I like to say is carbs are for recovery. So when we start to get into like collegiate athletes or like carb timing, which is not a lot of people need to focus so much on that, but carb timing is huge in recovery because we make sure before and after whatever that training session is or that game is, we want to make sure we have enough carbohydrates to refill those glycogen stores. We can't recover without those glycogen stores being nice and full. So carbs play a amazing role in the morning when our athlete wakes up. We start with some carbohydrates, some protein, just a little bit of fat. Throughout the day, we're looking specifically for carbohydrates that they enjoy, are easy to digest, will perform on a nervous belly or an active belly. And then that last meal of the day, we're looking again for protein, carbs, and fats that are just going to completely fill them back up so they can recover overnight.
Okay. So maybe let's do an example of a typical tournament day. I mean, I know the world of lacrosse, but I'm sure that this is similar for many summer tournaments, basketball, baseball, lacrosse. But
perfect.
It's going to be an early morning, so we're getting in the car early. So this is probably looking like a breakfast in the car, is my guess, right?
Yeah.
So let's say typically you're going to be in the car anywhere from 2 to 3 hours before the first game. Okay. So what would be the ideal timing to eat 2 to 3 hours before your first game?
Yeah,
and what would that be?
It kind of depends on your athlete that early. So 2 to 3 hours before game time, you have a little bit of leeway. So if they need to wake up and get themselves together, and that's okay. We're not worrying about anything. I would start like, hey, let's have a drink, start your day with a drink of water. I think that makes you feel good anyway. But we're looking within an hour and a half of game time. You don't want to go too close with these kind of like bigger meals, but you're looking for carbs, some protein, a little bit of fat. Right? So in the morning, we want to break that fast anyway. So we want them to have breakfast. So this can be things like a turkey sandwich and a piece of fruit if they want it. It can be peanut butter and jelly, a bagel with cream cheese or peanut butter and jelly. You can do Greek yogurt, cottage cheese with granola and berries. Some kids, I know some male athletes are big eaters. If you have chicken and rice, they can do a portion of chicken and rice. Like this can be a meal that has a little bit of substance to it. I'm going to recommend across the board on game day that we avoid heavy, fatty foods. So I wouldn't stop at wherever and grab like a fried this with French fries and all of those things. That is going to make your athlete sluggish.
So we're not going to get a bacon, egg, and cheese from your fast food restaurant of choice. Maybe not.
Maybe not. If you have to go with bacon, egg, and cheese, maybe avoid the hash browns. Some kids tolerate it a little bit better. With that I would be totally fine with it with that 3-hour window. Yeah. But again, something is better than nothing. So if mom needs to stop and get a coffee at Starbucks, they have tons of things that you could grab. So they have like little egg bites so there's things that you can kind of grab on the way.
Oh, what else can we get at Starbucks for my kids? Because that was
little coffee. No.
Okay.
For mom.
Well, so I like that. So Starbucks, we could do the egg bites. What else can we do there?
So they'll have like an egg white. Don't they have an egg white? I haven't had a breakfast there in a really long time. Oh, God. So that you can do like a breakfast sandwich. I would do something like that a little bit fattier. That would be the 2 or 3 hour mark. If we're within an hour and a half of the game, that's when we start to think like, okay, their bellies are going to be a little bit different now than they're going to be, an hour, 2 hours ago. Sometimes a dad's breakfast sandwich just hits the spot on game day. Dad, make those breakfast sandwiches, but just bring it up a little bit earlier. You know, not a terrible thing.
Yeah. And this is just one other question. So let's say, just because we're talking about the fatty foods.
Yeah.
Like those giant muffins that you see that are obviously made with like probably a ton of butter, and would that be considered something that's pretty heavy in the fat content?
There's going to be higher fat in that, especially when it's things that we don't necessarily make,
Yes.
so we don't know everything that's in it without kind of taking a deep dive on Google. Yeah. Those are going to be carb heavy, which is kind of what we're looking for. So the reason that we don't want high fat is because it's going to slow down metabolization, and we need that to happen for us to break down all the carbohydrates that we're eating to get that energy to go where it needs to go. I would not be worried about a muffin.
Okay.
I'm not super worried about a muffin. I would be more worried about chicken tenders and French fries when you get to the concession stand. Like, that is great for the sibling that's not playing in the tournament because they have the best life ever. But for our athletes, those would be the foods that I would avoid. When we go into the day, you want them to feel very satisfied, but not stuffed, where if you took a walk with them, they couldn't have a conversation because they'd be like, I'm so stuffed.
Okay. So we've got breakfast. We can have a little bit more fat. We can have the bacon, egg, and cheese that Dad's making. Yeah. If it's like that 3-hour window. Yeah. If it's closer to game time, we want something a little bit lighter that's got something of substance, but you can digest it because it doesn't have that heavier fat portion. Right. Okay.
Right. And we also, it's a great place to start adding in those fast-acting carbohydrates. So if you have, let's say, stop at Starbucks, you get the egg white breakfast sandwich. Have an applesauce pouch with it, something that has a little bit of a faster, you could do a banana, you could do something with just a little bit of those faster acting carbs because their adrenaline is going. So they're going to be utilizing everything you give them. And if game starts at 9, they're getting dressed and practicing and they're doing a bunch of things before game time. So with an hour and a half to go doesn't mean they're doing nothing for the hour and a half and they just run out on that field. So you want to start also implementing like fruit. You can do chocolate milk is a great one.
Okay. Before the game. Okay.
They can do oatmeal, bananas, peanut butter. That's like a good one that will sit well on their belly, but digest a little bit slower.
Okay. So let's back this up a little bit.
Sure.
There's a lot in there too.
Yeah.
So they've had their breakfast number 1, I'm going to call it. Yeah. And they've warmed up. Yep. They've done they're ready. The game starts in 5 minutes. Are we talking then we have the applesauce? So
depending on how your athlete feels. So I think warm-ups are a great time for any athlete it sets the tone for the game. Like, how do I feel? You know what I mean? So I'm an Olympic weightlifting coach and athlete. So the minute you touch the barbell, you know exactly how it's going to go. The same way you have your lacrosse player running around and warming up, that kind of sets the stage. So the carbohydrates that we're looking for, the kids are going to absolutely love this. The adults are going to think that I am absolutely crazy. I swear I'm not, is the fastest carbs that you can get are what we want right before we're ready for them to play. Okay. So think things like a little pack of fruit snacks. Yeah. Like, that's going to be a really good something that has that fast energy because they need it. Okay. If your athlete feels content, if they are like, nope, I feel really good, they're not hungry, nothing is indicating that they're hungry, and let's say they have a Gatorade with them, there's sugar in that Gatorade, and that's going to keep them going. So they don't have to have it. I would utilize the faster acting things. So a banana, they can bring a banana onto the bench with them. Fruit snacks are another good one, like a Skittles, something easy that is digestible that they can pop a handful in and off they go. But not every athlete needs that right before the game if they've had something of substance before the game.
So also helping them to learn about how does my body feel?
Yep.
Do you feel like you need a little bit more energy? Yeah. And then associating like this energy is going to come from this banana, this applesauce, these fruit snacks, or this sip of Gatorade because this has carbohydrate in it.
Yes. And it's a great way to help kind of on the sidelines build really healthy relationships with food because they understand that we don't have to restrict things. There's a place for things. Okay. Right? So like you don't need to drink Gatorade throughout your school day because you don't need those electrolytes. You don't necessarily need the sugar, but we drink Gatorade on hot days or during tournaments or whatever it is. So it kind of breaks that idea of restriction. But we're thinking just eating things before they're ready to perform, because we need that glucose. Their bellies don't have time to just sit on the bench and kind of digest and process and the whole thing. We're looking for that fast energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically in a lacrosse tournament, there's maybe, if you're lucky, it's either 45 minutes before the next game or you've got maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So pretty quick turnaround time.
Yeah.
Is there something that you'd recommend that you'd eat in between game 1 and game 2?
Yeah. So if we're looking at, we still have that hour time frame. If you can get a little bit of protein, that's going to be helpful. And then some of those fast acting carbohydrates. So this is where I like to bring in like a Fairlife shake. Those are super easy to drink, super easy to pack and carry. A packet of applesauce and some beef jerky or a Chomps or, like a small Chomps or something like that. You want them to have something, but understand that they're not going to feel like having something. So if they come off this field and they're tired and they're socializing and they're doing all of their things, they're not going to want to sit down and have anything, that's a good thing. Like their bodies are doing what their bodies are meant to do. So this is where we look for what they're going to tolerate. So great place for orange juice and something. Orange juice is going to give you that fast energy, but we also want something to kind of hold them over a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's where protein has a great place to come in. It's going to start repairing those muscles so they're prepared for another game. You can do things like Rice Krispie treats, pretzels, applesauce pouch. It's a great time to add in cut up pineapple, watermelon, berries, because it's so easy to eat that they're at least getting something. But in that, they're also getting those micronutrients and electrolytes. If they don't drink a sports drink during the game, they can also have, that's the time they could have a Gatorade. They could have half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's kind of whatever their belly tolerates, but you want that balance between something with a little bit of substance, but you don't want to drag them down for their next game. It would be the easiest way to kind of judge is what would you feel like eating, right? So on the sidelines, we watch them work so hard and we're like, oh my gosh, you need something, you need something, you need something. We almost have to give them a second, but also the beauty of having things that they're going to eat in your cooler, that they'll look through there and they'll find something.
Yeah.
So those in between times or in between games when you have that hour is a great time to get some protein in because that's going to slow their belly down just a little bit. If they like Greek yogurt, I think drinkable Greek yogurt is super, super easy. Individual cottage cheese cups with berries or fruit can be really good. Individual Greek yogurt cups. Sometimes they just want something easy that they can eat.
Yeah.
So crackers, pretzels, goldfish, Rice Krispie treats are great. So just something a little bit easier, but not a bad spot to add in some protein.
Okay. I like it. And so that obviously, depending on how many games you can do that, you can kind of rinse and repeat that all day long as far as you need.
Yep.
And then what about end of the day, right? We're done for the day. We're completely toast, but we have more games the next day.
Yeah, so we are all tired. We are all hungry. So when you step back, and this will be easier to see when we pack a cooler, talk about our cooler. When you look at your athlete, throughout the day, they've had breakfast and then they've had snacks.
Yeah.
So they're going to be hungry. Let them be hungry. Feed them like they're very hungry. So that's where we go back to protein, carbs, fat. We want all of that really good stuff. Their body at this point has worked very, very hard. We want to make sure that not only do we fill their belly, they've worked really hard all day, but also that they have everything they need for recovery. So we need that protein. We need that lean protein source. We also need those carbohydrates to help with recovery. We need to replenish that glucose and that healthy fat. We don't want to leave out healthy fats when we deplete them because it works with hormones and all sorts of systems. So this is when we are all done. We've done it for the day. And you can do something like stop at Chipotle and have them load up a burrito bowl or a burrito. Or that's kind of the easiest place to visualize what you would want them to have. Because you can see the protein, the carbohydrates. You're going to get tons of micronutrients from the sides, and then you can get your avocado and all of the stuff. So think of a big dinner, but something that you visually can see is going to prepare them for the next day. So a chicken broccoli Alfredo, I would save that for the end of the day on your last day. Something like that. any sort of bowl where you can build it yourself is the easiest thing. They have control of it. They make those choices. You as the parent can see what is kind of going into that bowl. So like a kava is Mediterranean. You could do burger bowls at home if you're going home. At a restaurant, again, we still want to try to avoid those fried foods just because that's a big hit on their belly, might make them a little bit sluggish. There's better ways that they can recover at the end of the day. Okay. So last meal of the day is going to be the one where they're hungry. We want to make sure that they're still hydrating, so they're still drinking their water. But we definitely want that protein. So lean meat, so beef, chicken, turkey, fish, all of those things. Carbohydrates, rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa, all of like the good carbohydrates that would make a nice plate super dense. And again, at this point, we do not worry about serving sizes or portions or basically like let them eat. Yeah. We want them to eat. They need it.
Yeah. And is timing so much important here? Like initially when you were talking, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have to have this meal packed in the cooler ready for them as soon as they get off the field. But now I'm thinking you mean more like they could have another snack type thing when they come off the field for that last game and then go to dinner or have dinner.
Yeah. So the reason I say to pack things that they like are think of the cooler as like an open they come to it, they get what they need. As the parent, you know when you pack it, and we'll show you how to pack it, that what they need is in that cooler. Okay. If they feel really good eating a bag of goldfish between each game, and they drink a Gatorade on the bench, and they have one Fairlife between game 2 and 3, they're doing fine. Okay. They're doing fine. If they're eating a pack of Skittles because they were at the concession stand and they have a game in a half hour, that's perfect. Okay. They're doing just fine.
Great. But the timing, like, so after the last game of the day, how soon do we need to be, or does that not matter? Like, do they need to be getting that final meal within a certain amount of time of when they've played their last game?
So there's a lot of back and forth research about this. All of our research is going to be on people 18 to 25 years old. Anything is better than nothing. So my recommendation is have something in the cooler that they can eat between post-game when they are like, Mom, I'm hungry, to whatever you're doing for dinner. So if you're away, you're staying at a hotel, you're going to be going out for dinner, have a little something for them. But that's a great time for like a turkey and cheese roll up with a pack of goldfish and whatever they would like to drink. Preferably water, but whatever. They can drink whatever they want. They performed all day. But when you have the stuff in your cooler that they're going to eat, they will eat. They'll kind of settle in. When they're hungry, they're going to come to you. My recommendation is if you have an athlete that is a little bit more nervous or has no interest in food, that's when you start to go for the things that might seem less nutrient dense but are most appealing to them. Okay. Right? So it almost makes it their idea of what they want to choose to eat. So, hey, I have a Greek yogurt. If they're like, no, I don't want yogurt, it doesn't have to be, well, you have to have the yogurt. You need to get protein in right now. You can say, oh, if you wouldn't like yogurt, if you don't want yogurt, I have a Fairlife. There's some chopped up fruit in there you can start with. There's to leave them kind of the option to choose something because something is better than nothing. Ideally, we are feeding them before and after each game in a tournament. Some bellies just don't tolerate what we would like them to eat. So half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a great snack to have in that 1 hour window. Some kids like a whole. It just depends. A deli or ham, deli wrap is another really good one. They can have half or they can have whole. So them kind of snacking through the day in those 1 hour windows is not a bad thing because they're getting something better, rather than nothing. In the evening, that's when I kind of like to have a good plan. So when you're packing your cooler, after the game tomorrow, what would you like to eat? It's going to be a while before we get to dinner. And then they can say whatever it is that they want. And then you can specifically pack it. It's now their idea. This is what we're having.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because when you're tired, when you're hot, when you're sweaty, your brain cannot. Yeah. There's no thought process there.
Yeah. And we're trying to remove as much decision making from parent and athlete, right? Like, so for the parent to sit and be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I didn't bring anything. Like, that is far overwhelming. You just want to sit with the other parents and you want to do what other parents do and like do your thing. The athlete just wants to play. I think we have a great visual. We'll show you how to pack a cooler. will kind of take the stress out of trying to make decisions on what you need. Also, side note, when you pack the cooler, the parents and everybody can have what's in the cooler as well. It's going to get you through the day without having to, visit the concession stand also. So as many decisions, as many decisions as we can remove for you and the athlete, the better it is overall. It'll just take so much weight off your shoulders.
Okay, perfect. We are going to later pack the cooler, which Stephanie keeps alluding to. That will be a different format where we're gonna video that, and that will be kind of on YouTube, which is why you can't see it right now, listener. But I think one of the last things we're going to talk about on this platform is my favorite and least favorite topic, which is one of our wellness topics this year or this season, or in our fact or fiction series, energy drinks. As you may tell from my tone of voice here, I have some strong opinions about them, but I am not the expert here. So, Stephanie, the professional in this, can you tell us about energy drinks? Is there a place in athletics that we should be using these energy drinks?
This is going to be such an unpopular opinion. The place is for pro athletes who get paid millions of dollars to carry around a can of an energy drink before they go in a game is where energy drinks belong. That's where I personally stand. There's so many other things that you can do to get a bigger benefit than drinking an energy drink. The second place, I will say, shift workers, bless you all. Energy drinks for you too. But when we are...
And listener, just to be clear, when we say energy drinks, we mean Celsius, we mean Red Bull, we mean Monster, we mean...
There's a million.
There's so many of them. They keep coming up with more. Anyway, so continue, please.
So there's a lot more things that you can do for yourself to prevent yourself from needing that kick, right? So I coach sustainability and sports performance. So we look at, are you well fed? Are you training enough for whatever your goals are? Are you recovering, and are you sleeping well? If you are doing those things, an energy drink doesn't necessarily have to be a crucial must on your list of things to do. I like to talk about energy drinks as it's almost a fake feel good. Energy drinks just stimulate your nervous system, right? So you're going to feel good, and then you are going to feel bad. The way that we have grown in energy drinks is marketing as phenomenal. The cans are beautiful, which you'll see in our visual portion when we pack our cooler. But we've also started to add so many things to energy drinks to make them look like that healthy must-have versus, oh my gosh, this is crazy. People are drinking energy. You know what I mean? Like the market has changed because there's a moneymaker there. Mm-hmm. So if you drink energy drinks, you can do better by... to each their own. I just think the place for them is not as big of a place that it has become. It's just kind of expanded so significantly. That's kind of where I stand.
Okay. From one mom to all the other moms out there. Yes. Okay. Is there a way that I can say this to my kids and somehow resonate with them differently? Like how could I get through to them?
Okay, so there's a couple of myths with energy drink. So the first is that they hydrate you. They don't necessarily hydrate you because they have caffeine in them, and caffeine acts as a diuretic, so they dehydrate you. So the argument of I'm thirsty, energy drink is not going to do the trick for you, right? Because it essentially dehydrates you. So you're kind of moving in the wrong direction. I don't want that to be twisted words. So there's diuretic properties in caffeine, which makes you just kind of pee more. So it's not that if you drink an energy drink, you're just magically going to be dehydrated, but you're working against the efforts that you're putting in. When we look at my kid needs caffeine to perform, this is the one that just really gets me excited, I guess. Caffeine should not be the priority of how we perform. It shouldn't be. Does it make you feel good while you're performing? Yes. But if you can't perform without caffeine, then we need to look at sleep, carbohydrates, and hydration are going to be the biggest things that we're looking at.
When you say that, it kind of brings me back full circle to what you said in the beginning. When you look at your athlete on the field and they look kind of meh or sluggish or tired, and then they're just not that same level, it's asking ourselves, are they dehydrated or are they underfueled? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if sometimes when they feel that way, when the athlete feels that way, are they thinking, I need my energy drink?
For the most part, yes, they need energy. But also when you look at us as a population, our coffee culture is through the roof, right? So
guilty.
We as parents wake up and we're like, hold on, let me have my coffee. Like I need to, and coffee is delicious. So I understand if an athlete loves an energy drink just as much as I love a good latte, I totally get it. So I don't think anybody is in the wrong, but more than likely, they're just underfueled. So the caffeine in the energy drink makes them feel good for a very short period of time. So instead of an energy drink to kind of get them through, that's where we're looking for. You're better off having a handful of Skittles. Just have a handful of Skittles, right? Like
I love
if you're warming up and you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I need my Red Bull, you're better off having a handful of Skittles, right? Because it's going to give you that glucose. They're easy to digest. They taste really good. You'll get that fruity flavor that you would get in an energy drink.
Okay. I like that as a nice as a nice like alternative. This snacks. Is another way to give you the energy that your body needs right now.
Right.
Okay. I like that. Okay, so caffeine and decreased hydration in athletes is likely going to lead to increased injury risk. It's not just a nutrition issue, it's a movement health issue. Can you remind us, Stephanie, because you have talked about so many wonderful things today, and I always love to give our listeners like some key takeaways, something they can use right now. So what are top 3 things that they can do this week to help prepare for tournament season?
I would say make a list, right? Because your list you can keep through the whole season, and you'll figure out on week 1 what doesn't work well for week 2 and 3, and you can make small shifts. So I would say make a list of the things that you know your kid will eat, and you can sit down and say to them, hey, listen, I'm packing the cooler for this weekend. What do you like? What will you eat? And kind of filter through what they want. So I would definitely say make a list of the things that you know your athlete will eat, have them give you some input. The second thing is pack your cooler before it's time to go. We don't want to have to make any more decisions, especially when we're getting up in the morning, getting ready. Our athlete can't find their lacrosse stick. We have, 2 younger siblings that are going nuts. So, did you feed the dog? When all of that is going on, the last thing you need to be doing is trying to figure out what you can throw into a cooler, right? So make your list, prep it the night before. And then the last thing I would say is, as a parent, without getting overwhelmed with all of this, is trust that you made your list, you have this stuff with you, and you can kind of guide your athlete towards the things that they need. So don't overthink the choices that you've already made, right? You made your list. You pack the cooler the day before, you know that they have what they need, and then you can kind of gently guide them like, hey, are you hungry? Do you want to try some of this? Do you want to try some of that? And then the decision is over. No one has to have make any extra decisions. And then my kind of little extra add-on to that would be pack stuff for yourself, right? Like pack stuff for yourself so you're not sitting there out in the sun, blazing hot with nothing to eat, having a pack of goldfish here and there.
So true. We always forget to pack for ourselves, and then we get hangry, and that's not good. So
and then we're bad fans.
Oh, wow. This was a lot. This is super helpful. I know we're going to put the PDF that you made, the super helpful handout, we're going to put that in the show notes. That'll be great. We can also come up with a grocery list and put that in the show notes. Yep. That'll be helpful. Keep this in mind. Every time that you fuel your athlete well, you are protecting their body. Hydration, carbohydrates, recovery. These are injury prevention tools, not just performance tools. We are also going to film a video portion, and somehow we will link that to this in the magic of behind the scenes action that the local scene helps us with here. We would love for you to send us pictures of your tournament coolers when you pack them. Stephanie, you always help me so much in so many of my projects, and I hope to continue to work with you on everything in my life. But if there is a parent out there or an athlete out there that wants to work with you or learn more from you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get me is steel.anchor.nutrition on Instagram. I'm also a strength and Olympic weightlifting coach, so you can also find me at steel.anchor.weightlifting on Instagram. You can send Ashley a message, and then Ashley will send the message to me. My email is stephanie@steelanchorstrength.com. You can stop in and see me. Our athletes lift at CrossFit 1620, so stop in and see me there with all your questions. And also, if you are a parent that just has a ton of questions, I am absolutely glad to help. You can go onto my Instagram and schedule a free consult. We'll chat. I'll answer your questions. We'll make sure that you feel confident and your athlete is all set. So I'm more than happy to help.
Super helpful. As a reminder, we are here because we want to not just add more years to the clock, we want to build better days, stronger bodies, sharper minds, and give you real tools for navigating every stage of life with confidence. This show is different because we are committing to keep it local. Just like Stephanie, she is here in Plymouth, and we are going to continue to feature experts from across Cape Cod, the South Shore, and Boston, and we really appreciate the local scene for making that all possible. Thank you, and stay strong.